Hey, welcome everyone. I'm Dr. Brett, and I'm excited to be here tonight with you. Please reach out to your friend, the friend that invited you to this. I'm just excited for you guys to hear about what we're going to talk about when it comes to autism, ADHD, ADD, and specifically from a good friend of mine, as well as just a mentor me in this space of what she has not only lived through, but the way she helps other people. And to kind of set the stage for this, we are a community at LifeVantage individuals. Like our focus is focused on helping individuals have resources and knowledge to help those that they love. And when it comes to this particular topic, when it comes to brain health and autism specifically, there's some really important things I wish people knew a long time ago. And I'm going to introduce Steph here in just a minute, but I'm going to show you guys a slide real quick to kind of set the stage for what we're going to talk about. Because at the end of the day, no matter who you are, you'll have tools and resources that Steph's going to share with you tonight that will impact your family's health if you apply them in a drastic way. And it's super important that we do in order to maximize the individuals in our lives' ability to perform. Okay, so let me show a screenshot real quick if it'll let me, and then I will show you a couple quick slides, and then Steph's going to take it away. All right, so here's a couple of just quick slides that I want you to look at with me just a second. You'll have to understand this, but I want you to realize that if you don't know this information, don't feel bad, because many people do not. But what Steph is so brilliant at doing, what she'll do is to help us understand the root cause of what people are dealing with and what we can do about it. So this is a study that was occurred back in just a couple of years ago in 2020, where they're talking about autism specifically and saying it links to things like oxidative stress, which basically is rusting of the body's ability to repair that, controlling inflammation, gut health, improving how the body makes mitochondrial dysfunction, and the body's ability to detoxify. Like there's a lot of fancy words in there, but you'll see things that says mitochondria, oxidative stress, inflammation. And what blows my mind about this study, this was done in 2020. If I slide over one more slide, this is almost not the identical study, but a very similar study looking at the same thing from 2006. So this knowledge has been there for quite some time, but not put in a practical way where parents and many of us have been able to have the chance to experience it. So with that being said, I'm going to can introduce you guys to really the main star. And her name is Steph Kroom. I met her several years ago, and her background is as first a mom of 3 boys, but a passionate advocate for families with individuals in her life that struggle with autism, ADHD, ADD, because she lived it. And so, Steph, thank you so much for being here tonight and to share your knowledge. You got a lot of stuff going on.
Absolutely. No, I'm so happy to be here and happy to talk about this topic. Like you said, I'm really passionate about it because I haven't lived it. I'm currently living it too every day. So any of you who have, been touched by ADHD and autism, you know what I mean. And every day is a part of that journey. And I think every day is a little bit different. And because we never know really what we're going to experience in a day. And that, do you want me to go ahead and just? Yeah,
perfect. So what I'd love to do, we can ask some questions, but I'll let you run and then I'll kind of prompt you some questions. Because I know you're so good about just painting a picture for people and then giving them tools and resources. Yeah. So if I need to throw a question in, I will.
Yeah. So just to tell you guys really how I landed here and why I am so passionate about this is, like Dr. DrBrimhall said, I'm the mom of 3 boys, and our third came home to us from the foster care system. And so a little bit different and unique than maybe some of you have experienced in the fact that he does have some in utero exposure and trauma as well. So that right there is going to increase the oxidative stress level, right, in his body, as well as just what his body has endured and what his body has gone through. And there's so much we didn't know, because he was a baby, and we were really grateful that he came into our home at 5 months old. So that was really very special and unique. And we adopted within 6 months, but we just didn't have answers, and we didn't know. And I'm a mom that that runs the marathon. I just don't quit. And I wanted answers. I wanted to find out what we could do to help his body. And I just didn't stop. And I say that, back then my front door was a revolving door. Literally, like, you guys have seen Elf, where he runs around in a circle. And he's like, ah, like that was kind of our front door all the time, like people coming in, and we were like, someone help us. And we just, pulled upon a lot of different modalities and therapies to try to find answers for him. And fast forward, we ended up getting them, which my son was diagnosed with severe ADHD, actually Phoenix Children's, the practitioner that worked with us for a couple of years said it was the worst case she's ever seen, sensory processing, and then eventually also autism spectrum, which also landed me in the space of really wanting to walk alongside of parents and help and support, because it does take a tribe and it is a community. And I will say, no one quite gets us unless you live it, because it is definitely a unique journey. And I really think that we feel empowered as parents when we can feel understood and we can come together and have community. And sometimes some people have answers and things that help that we never knew existed, which is how I ended up at LifeVantage as well.
Awesome. And, I know you live it every life. And I think that's the biggest thing you've experienced it. You know what it feels like. So I know you and I were chatting about this, and just, you wanted to give people some tools and resources, and you talk about like creating your tribe. So what would you say are some of the individuals that you say may be helpful to have as part of the team or the tribe in working with?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, you're one of them. So you want to have chiropractic adjustments for your kiddo, because you need to have the communication, right, from the brain into all the pieces and parts of the body, as cellular communication. So we know that adjustments can help with that. I also, if any of you guys have heard me speak before or talk about this, I call it my toolbox. I actually upgraded to a she shed. So I have a shed, and in that shed is a lot of tools. And my background, my degree is in nutrition and exercise science. And then when I really became passionate about this, I decided to go back to school for functional nutrition as well as holistic nutrition. So, and why I wanted to do that is because I wanted more tools in my shed, and I wanted to be able to give those to my clients as well, as we help to support the body. So when I just always think about like a handyman carrying like his toolkit, right? And so for us, it was occupational therapy. It's been vision therapy. It's been physical therapy. It's been chiropractic care. And really foundational to this all, you guys, foundation is you have to have proper nutrition. You have to lay the groundwork and have that proper nutrition, because again, what's the body being fed? Am I getting the proper macronutrients? Am I getting all the micronutrients that I need from the macros that are coming in? So is the body getting the vitamins and nutrients that it needs so that those cells can communicate to one another, so the brain can function at the optimal level, and so that the gut can have healing as well? And a part of the toolbox too is going to be, how am I supporting the body? Because we know that the kids that have the neuroatypical diagnoses, ADHD, autism, they also are very lacking in nutrients. Typically, their detoxification pathways are not detoxing well. And here's facts. The kids, even our typical kiddos, kids born today are introduced to way more chemicals than what we were as children. The most recent research is saying, 200 industrial chemicals found in babies that are born. Like, you guys, that's ridiculous, right? And so if we already know that we have these kiddos that aren't detoxing well, it's like you're like at the stoplight and it's never going to turn green because we're in a traffic jam and nothing is rolling through, right? The cars are not moving through. So think of that as like the free radicals, like it's just not moving through the body. And so you just have this massive backup that's happening. So nutrition is going to be key in that, as well as reducing the oxidative stress and getting those pathways moving so that they can properly detox. And so a lot of what I talk to my parents about is absolutely nutrition. There's key things you pull out of the diet. There's key things you make sure are happening in the diet. And I can share with you my big tips that are my number ones that I work with parents on. And then you clean up the environment that you're living in. Indoor air is more polluted than that outdoor air. Open those windows, get air filtration going through, get rid of candles, get rid of plugins, make your environment, get rid of the chemicals that are that you're washing your clothes with, that you're, showering with, the personal care items. All of those things matter. So it's like stacking goodness, right? So you're like habit stacking. So I've got this layer, check, done. I got this layer, check, done. To think that you can do it all at once, especially when we're talking about parenting, kiddos on the spectrum, we're already living in overwhelm. So I never come to my parents and go, all right, I'm going to turn the fire hose on and spray it. And you got to do all of these things. Like, that's just a really great way to spiral them down even further, because they're going to feel like they can't do it. So what is one thing this week that I can do? And what's one thing next week I can do? And what's one thing the following week? And maybe I take a week off and I just master these 3 things. It is the journey, and it takes time, and it takes money too, right? It takes time to be able to upgrade some of the things that you currently have in your home. And we're always learning. So take those opportunities to always be learning on the things that I can bring in that can upgrade health.
So a couple questions. All right.
Yeah.
Well, so what would you say the top things to remove from environment and diet? Like, I heard a few, you said the personal care items, the ventilation in the house. So what is the common thing? Like, let's get this out of their environment exposure foods. And then on the opposite side, what are the things we want to add in?
Yeah. My big hot button currently is seed oils. That's a huge one for me. So healthy fats, right? We know that the brain needs healthy fats. Our kiddos that have ADHD and autism need fats more than ever. And so kicking out those seed oils and focusing on good, healthy fats and good, healthy oils is key. I actually have a slide. Can I show it?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm disabled.
Oh, well, that's sad. Let me
do that.
Let me.
So I'm going to show you a slide, and it's nothing I created, but it's from Dr. Kate, and she is a great advocate on teaching the importance of good, healthy oils. And so if you guys want to take a screenshot of this, or you can even go to drkate.com and you can download it, but I love it. So we want to get rid of all the fakeness, right? So we want to get rid of the hydrogenated oils. We want to get rid of any refined oils. We want to get rid of sunflower oil and soy oil. And that's in everything.
You can
soybean oil. Okay. We want to get rid of those things. And it takes you being a investigator. You need to become a detective. Okay. That's what I tell my parents. Become a detective. Let me know you can see this.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So you want to focus on good quality olive oil. Avocado oil is good as well. Eat the butter. If they have a dairy sensitivity, or kiddos have a dairy sensitivity, the amount of dairy actually in butter is pretty low. But you can always do ghee, grass-fed, always grass-fed, grass-finished for sure, because it's going to have more omega-3s in them. I am a big fan of beef tallow. So getting beef fat actually, and utilizing that, frying up some eggs and some beef fat if eggs are okay, but utilizing that good, healthy fat is really going to be key in helping the cellular communication and the healthiness of the brain, right? 60% of your brain is fat. So we need fat in the diet. And we just need to make sure it's coming from a really good, healthy source. And what we don't want is going to be all the fake fats that are out there. I'm not a fan of it. I say go 100% in on fat that is coming from animals. They do supply a unique fatty acid profile that you cannot get from anything else. You cannot duplicate this, you guys. And so consume those healthy fats and you will. I can tell you multiple stories of a lot of really good communication and connection that's happened from some of our kids when we are able to increase the good healthy fats. And I'm going to tell you our kids tend to be very picky. So thinking we're going to put a piece of salmon in front of them and they're going to eat that wild salmon and the skin and all of the goodness, probably not going to happen, right? So how can we pull this into foods that they're already having? That's what we want to do. And a lot of times when we can fulfill some of those deficiencies and gaps that are happening in the diet, we find that the palate even opens up a little bit too. And now our kids will become more open to trying more foods. But we need to come in and start to fill in some of the deficiencies of that first. And fats is a big, big deficiency that I see happening in not just our kids, but in adults as well. So this is, for those of you listening, this is your message as well. So you do it for yourself too. But canola oil, boot it out, get it out of there. I like to go right into pantries and say, this is a no, 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 but here's your yeses. Focus on these yeses. Don't complicate it. You don't need a lot of choices. Those are your yeses and stay really strong in those. Become a label reader. I know I will acknowledge a lot of our kids love chicken nuggets, right? Those frozen chicken nuggets. And you need to read the label because a lot of them use soybean oil, canola oil, sunflower, safflower oil. Those are going to be your omega-6 oils. And those are really pro-inflammatory. And that's really, let's get down to it. That's really what we're looking to reduce in our kids' bodies is inflammation, neuroinflammation, right? And so we want to provide the body with healthy fats and pull down, get rid of those unhealthy fats. So this is a big one for me. The next one I have here is going to be dyes. So there's a lot of studies that you can look at on PubMed. There are studies saying that they haven't proven that dyes, they don't cause ADHD. You guys, I'm not here to say that these foods are causing that. I'm here to say that they can exacerbate some of the symptoms that our kids are having, adults too. But we just pull out all those synthetic dyes that could be linked to the hyperactivity that they might be experiencing on a daily basis. Get rid of the unhealthy fats. Let's get rid of the fake sugars. Really, if it comes from a box, it's processed food, right? We want to this isn't complicated. I always say I have the easiest job in the world. Just eat real food. That's it. Just eat real food. And then the parents are like, I don't know how to do that. You know what? It's just one step at a time. You just slowly are just introducing. If you're somebody that's already eating a highly processed diet, then you just pick one thing. What's one thing that I can swap out and I can upgrade and I can make it a little bit better? Or maybe you're going to focus on just the oils right now. And I'm just going to I'm going to start working on pulling those out. I'm going to start reading labels. I'm going to become educated about it. That's your first thing, right? Just become educated about it. So those are my two biggest ones that I really focus on is going to be the oils and it's going to be the dyes that we're consuming.
Awesome. What about, so I love that. No, a couple of things. So what about the foods that they encourage to add in? Mm-hmm. Right? And then I know we hear this, right? But my kid won't eat it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so how are some ways we address that? And then we'll come back to supplements. Yeah. So my kid won't eat it is a big one all the time. So you guys, the research shows that a neurotypical kiddo takes about 15 times to be introduced to a food to make a decision on whether it's a yes or no food, right? So we just keep offering it. Our kiddos on the spectrum, you double that. So that's why I say it's the marathon. We know that it's going to take even longer. So when introducing, I talk to my parents about having the plate that has a safe food on it.
So it's a food, maybe it is a food that it's not perfect, right? It has some of the ingredients in it that maybe we don't like, but we're going to start to slowly introduce some of the other foods that they haven't tried yet. And we're going to keep introducing that same food over and over again next to their safe food. Because a lot of times it's a reaction inside of our kids of that doesn't feel good, that doesn't feel safe. And they feel very safe with their particular maybe 4 or 5 foods. So it's okay to continue to do that, but we want to also increase the colors and the variety and the textures. And a lot of times with our kiddos that are on the spectrum, I tell my parents, it's a win if they've touched it, just a touch, because we're pulling in all of their sensory experience. So if they're smelling it and they're touching it and they've touched it to their mouth and maybe put it back down on their plate, those are all wins because they're coming that much closer to that food. And all we're doing is trying to introduce a connection, if that makes sense, right? We just want them to feel connected to that food and to feel safe in that food. And then so that's one way to introduce it, right? And I like to also teach, try not to have an emotion with it. We as parents, we put time and effort in the kitchen, especially mamas out there. You're like, I'm working my butt off to make some really great, healthy food. And my kid is like, meh, I don't want nothing to do with that, right? And we tend to get really connected to that emotionally. And I get it. I feel that. I live that too. But what I've learned is do you guys ever play poker? Poker face. You want to have the poker face. So they're getting no emotions out of me. I'm going to look away. I'm not going to be emotionally connected or tied to the outcome of what they're experiencing. Think of your role. Your role as a parent is to provide, and their role as a child is to consume. Don't come in and take on their role and force the consumption of it. Stay in your role, stay in your lane. They stay in their role, they stay in their lane. So and again, I acknowledge and understand that this is challenging. But that's really what I walk alongside of my parents with. And I try to help them understand the win they just had. Wait, did you just tell me they touched the blueberry? Hold on a second. This is awesome because before they were pushing the plate away and now they touched it. That's one step closer because we pulled in a sensory they touched, right? And so that's the way that I like to start to integrate. And then another way is, here's an example. I had a kiddo that loves their Eggo waffles, and you know how they have little squares in them. And so instead of what we started to do is put beef tallow in the little squares. It looked like what they were doing before, right? So just another way to increase a different kind of fat, and the kiddo ate it. So if you're cooking, again, you can just start with just changing out some of your oils, and that will be a good way to bring some of that healthy substitution in.
And I love how you've experienced this. I know the last 8 years we've known each other, or 7 now, like just the process that you've gone through and now taking that knowledge and sharing it all with others. And I'm sure we could listen to you all night. I know I could, and just your vast experiences and knowledge. And I know one of the things that as we got to know each other, like literally, like I called you not knowing me and said, hey, come check this, check this product that we're using. How do you like decide because obviously with kids, they're not going to take everything. How do you decide what vitamins or minerals that we should encourage or get into our kids' diets, understanding? And I love what you said about the atypical, or there's the typical neurological child 15 times to introduce a food, right? So like double for somebody that's like got the atypical. So when it comes to like getting the nutrients into them or the vitamins and minerals, like what would you say are the top things you want to utilize with all of us, but especially with these kiddos?
Well, I think minerals are amazing, and LifeVantage just did come out with some minerals. So I love minerals for our kiddos because, that a lot of times that's just not balanced, right? The minerals, and two, when we can get minerals balanced, we also see more regulation that can happen. And I've never seen anything out there that says that our kids on the spectrum don't have oxidative stress. So for me and my story, and the reason why, DrBrimhall called me, was because he heard my story, and we were already doing lots and lots of therapies and supplementation. One thing that we weren't doing in my son's body was activation. And so that is different. And so LifeVantage does have something different than what I was doing. And we've never stopped that. So it's been 5 years that my son has been activated. We were doing, I saw D3, we were doing K2 D3. He still does. Zinc. There's a lot of minerals that we do bring balance into his body with. Probiotics were huge. We did a lot of immune boosting for him because, again, his immune system was pretty low, considering the circumstances he was born into. So we definitely had a lot of building up that needed to happen for him. And that's really what we want to do, right? We want to build our kids up. And when we start to do that and we come in and we give light and we build up, we see more regulation happen for them as well.
Yeah, I still remember that text I got from you when you said he held your hand.
For the first time on his own without me saying, hold my hand, hold my hand, hold my hand, hold my hand a million times, just out of the blue, grabbed my hand. I was like, I remember standing there thinking, I don't know what to do right now. Do I say good job? Yeah, I say good job. Good job. Like, oh my gosh, that just happened. Yeah.
That's even better than touching a blueberry, right?
Right? Yes. That was awesome.
From perspective, and I love your story on this because, guys, for her background, like she knows, like she's a pharmaceutical rep at one time. So she knows science, she knows literature. So like when she was giving people like vitamins and minerals, like these are the products you can only get through healthcare provider. Like they're the top end of things. So when she started applying activation, and this is what I've seen too in the individuals I've worked with, adults and children, that when you start activating their body's ability to manufacture the big enzyme by activating NRF2, by activating the mitochondria, by activating the communication of the cell, and balancing the rest of the system out, the body has a better chance of getting rid of the crud and better chance in regulation. And we do that over time. The effects become cumulative, right? So cumulative means that they have more success in life. They have more success in their in their ability to acclimate in societies, as well as in a family. So it's vastly, vastly different. So Steph, like I said, I could listen to you all night, but like, what are some of the other key things you really want to kind of make sure that you share with people so that they have some, the skills or some of the tools or the knowledge to keep moving forward?
Well, I would say, obviously, if your kiddo's not activated, what would hold you back from that? Right. It's very easy to do, but give it time. Like you were just saying, Dr. Brimhall, it's a cumulative effect in the body. I do really love Axio that LifeVantage has. It's amazing for brain neural pathways, and really, really great for what I could see in my experience with some sensory integration. Was really good. And I would say, as well as just become a learner of your child, become an observer, watch all things, always be noticing. That's one thing that I love that word. And I say that word a lot to my parents is you want to be a noticer. And you want to communicate that with your child as well. Those are words that I really like to say. I'm noticing because that helps them connect to themselves as well when you point out that they're noticing. And then please take the nutrition journey. You'll never regret taking the nutrition journey. But also put your Wonder Woman cape on because it takes a while to do it. But don't give up on it, because when the moment happens and you see it happen, or you see the acceptance of the food or whatever, you're winning it. And it may have started 6 months ago. It may even started a year ago, but don't give up on that journey, because it does work, and but it does take time. So please don't give up. I know it can get discouraging, and I know it can get frustrating. And so let me say this to you as a parent: reach out and get help. have someone to walk the journey with you, whether it be that you're going to hire a coach or hire a nutritionist or get in a group where it can even be a small group, whatever it might be, that you can have someone that you lean in on and that you rely on that can help encourage you while you walk this. But don't give up on the nutrition journey and be really strong in that. I know it can get hard too when birthday parties are happening and your kiddos go out. Let some of those things go too. Just let them go. Don't be so controlling over all of that. Just know that your kiddo is probably with you 80 to 90% of the time, right, in the home. So just have your environment be really, really great and clean. And if they're out and about and doing those things, then that's when they have those foods. I always my son is gluten sensitive as well. So those are things that could be a part of your journey too. Gluten is and